What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Keeta, KTA. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. All right, it is the 17th of June. Here we are. How much time do we have left in the day? About 6 hours and 11 minutes left in the day here. 79 cents is the price. You have gone down. I was anticipating that we'd see higher prices back here, guys, but we just didn't, man. We kept going down. Inevitably, the expectation was to move up, see a... Oops, that's not what it was. The last time that we talked about it, if I remember correctly, the expectation was to see a slightly higher high, maybe around $2, get some bearish divergence, and then come down to these areas around $1, if not lower. But we're here anyways, man. We're here sooner than expected, and that's actually a good thing, right? The sooner that you get done with these lows, the sooner you can start to rally, and that's always a good thing. You had a lot of volume on this day here. You've found resistance. You did have some bearish divergence here, and you're back down at the area that you found bearish divergence, back down at this range that you're at back at the end of May there. I don't expect that you go too much lower, but a little bit lower, sure. Looking at the daily RSI where you are, you probably bounce from this current area. You'll find some resistance around the 60, and they continue into the end of the month. It's kind of similar, and not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but kind of similar to my thoughts on ZBCN, right? KTA was one of the top performing coins in April to May, right? We saw, let's see, from the low, actually all the way back to April 7th, right, where the average coin bottomed out April 7th to the high, you saw an 18x. That's crazy. That's crazy stuff. You saw an 18x. It makes sense that after that kind of a movement, you're not just going to find your low after 1 week. It's probably going to take time. So while I do expect that most cryptos kind of pump going into the end of the month, KTA probably continues to drop or at least consolidates, right? I don't think that you're just going to drop all the way down to zero, right? But you probably move up. Maybe going into the end of this week, you move up, you find some resistance, and then you'll continue to move lower. Just looking at the daily RSI, that's kind of my expectation. I want to look at the short-term stuff. Let's see if we can validate that. If anything, if I'm wrong, maybe we don't get a bounce. Maybe we do just continue to go lower, but we'll talk about where the low area is. At this point in time, I would expect you to find support somewhere around 65 to 70 cents. You're at 79 cents now, okay? Let's look at the 1 hour time frame, and then we'll zoom out from there. 1 hour time frame, looking at the RSI, it is more bearish than bullish, but it's not as bearish as it could be, right? You're not getting into the oversold zone. You're bouncing off of it, which is nice to see, but you're predominantly living below the 50. That's how you know that it's bearish, essentially, right? When you're predominantly living above the 50, look at how different the price is, right? You're moving up and all this stuff, everything's good. Things start to shift when you start living predominantly below the 50. And so here you are, finding resistance at prior areas of support, breaking areas of support and continuing to go lower, volumes coming in as you're going down. You're moving up a little bit on this 1 hour time frame, so maybe I had it right where you bounce a little bit, but I doubt you get above 90 cents from here. Looking at this, I would expect that you continue to work your way down. You probably see lower prices than this, if not by the end of today, sometime over the next like 36 hours or so. 67 cents to 58 cents might be where you go. Does that make sense? Let's see. Hold on. Gotta let it load. Yeah, I would say 67 to 58 cents might be where you go. I would think that you bounce a little bit from here, but again, you don't go above 90 cents. You continue to drop, probably find support at various areas, resistance at various areas, and then in that last week of June, between like the 21st and the 30th, I believe June's a 30-day month. Yeah, 21st to the 30th, I think you'll find support around here. End of the month, you'll probably be consolidating, looking to move back up, but again, man, you did an 18x. You did an 18x since April 7th, right? And you topped off relatively recently. You're probably going to consolidate for a little bit of time. That doesn't mean that you're going to move down the whole time. But I really wouldn't be surprised, KTA, if you did see prices. At first, I was thinking you'd find support at the low ends of this area. It might make sense to actually find support at lower areas. Let's see. Where's the 382? I want to see. Where's the 382 of this move here? Let's get it. Let's get it. Come on. Low. That looks like the low to me. Here's the high, clear as day. 382. It's right there. Okay, cool. So yeah, something around just below 60 cents is what I think you're going to do. And at this rate, looking at the 4 hour time frame, you might hit that sooner than I was thinking. But again, sometime between the 20th and the 30th is what I would assume is what happens with this. You find that low either by the end of this week or sometime next week. You'll probably reject the 236, find some turbulence, find some higher lows, stuff like that, break out, right? going into July, you're still consolidating whatever, configuring yourself, and then mid-July, early July, you should be breaking out to new all-time highs. That'd be my expectation. You're actually getting off pretty easy, man. This is, in my opinion, because that's a very short downtrend for something that is as bullish as KTA, as something that moved up that much. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Maybe you go lower. Maybe you do go all the way back down to 30 cents, the golden ratio. I have a hard time seeing that from a high down to the golden ratio. You're going to drop 82%. I mean, the average coin, even in a bull market, you can see like 30% to 70% drops, but the average coin drops like 40 to 60%. If you drop 70% or more, that's kind of on the high end, let alone 80% or more, man. That's crazy. Maybe you go to the 0.5. A lot of cryptos are finding significance at the 0.5. Let's flirt with this idea of going lower than what I'm expecting. Okay. Maybe you go down to 42 cents, 42.6 cents. That could happen. I'm not holding out for that. If you're looking to buy KTA, I wouldn't hold out for 42.6 cents. I think just below 60 cents really is the right thing. And even if you go, let me delete all this and then throw it back on there. Okay, hold on. Just without the mess. You get the low there to the high there. Even if you go just below the 382, which is pretty common to do, even if you go just below there and then you come up, that doesn't mean you're going to the 0.5. That's actually a very common thing to do. In powerful moves like this, you do look to find support off the 382. But again, support doesn't mean that you're just ripping to the upside, right? Looking at the 4-hour time frame, just keep that in mind, right? I very much believe that this move is not done until we're below 60 cents, okay? Looking at the 4-hour RSI, you're rejecting the 50. You have a very long, drawn-out downtrend here, right? Lower lows, lower highs, the whole shebang, long and drawn out. You haven't seen the oversold zone. I have an assumption that once you see the oversold zone, this move will be done. And at the pace you're going, it will probably be, again, somewhere around the 20th. Between the 20th, I shouldn't even say the 20th to the 30th. I'd say the 20th to the 25th, 20th to the 23rd. Over the coming days. It's the 17th now. So within like this next week, you're going to see the oversold area in the 4-hour RSI, and that should reflect in a move, a kind of finale move, if you will, in the price, taking you down just below 60 cents. You're at 80 cents now. Maybe you find a little bit of support here. But I wouldn't be wooed by it, right? Maybe you go up to 88 cents. We're at 80 cents now. I don't care how high we go. Even if you go above 90 cents, I'm not wooed by this thing. I wouldn't be bullish until we're above about $1.07. And just truthfully, I don't think that there's any reason to be bullish. We're below the 236. The statistical probability that we go to the 382 is dramatically high or lower, right? So something below 60 cents is what I would anticipate. Just below 60 cents. At the worst, maybe 43 cents. But if we look at KTA and we look at it honestly, okay, and how it likes to perform, whenever it corrects, whenever it consolidates, it kind of just moves sideways, and then it rips up higher, and then it moves sideways, and then it moves up higher, and then it moves sideways for a long time, moving down, lower highs, lower lows, the whole thing, but sideways. To me, getting too much below these highs here, or sorry, these lows, why can't I draw? That was weird. Getting below there, getting too much below 60 cents would be uncharacteristic of KTA. I do think you'll get below 60 cents, but getting too far below there, like going down to 45 cents, going down to this consolidation area here, I accept it as a possibility, but what I reject as a maybe not as a possibility, but as a likely outcome, what I reject as a likely outcome is anything that's below that 0.5, which if I can just get it up there, come on now. Here we go. I tried to aim for the one that was to the left of it. That's how I got it to be right there. If we go anywhere below 43 cents, I should say 42 cents. That's what I kind of reject as a likelihood. I'd say you have like a 20% chance of going down here. You have an 80%, or maybe even let's say 85% chance, 87% chance of stopping around here, man. It's wait, no, sorry, 77, 75 to 77. I did the math backwards. 20% chance of this, like 75 to 80% chance of this happening, right? A small sliver of a chance in hell to go down here. You never know. That can change, right? If we, depending on how we consolidate, if we consolidate like this and we get this head and shoulders look, okay, maybe you do go down to the golden ratio. Maybe you do. That'd be terrible. That would suck. Something I don't know, man, but I don't expect that. KTA outperformed everything from May 5th until June 8th. It outperformed everything. I assume it will continue to do so, and we're looking for a very bullish month in July. So from here, 81 cents now, I expect you find your low. You probably find support just below 60 cents within the next week. probably even sooner than that, but within the next week. And then you'll probably consolidate going into the end of the month, going into the beginning of July. You'll probably consolidate, right? Get your higher lows, get your lower highs, higher lows, higher highs slightly, whatever. Configure yourself like this, moving sideways, and then you'll rip and rally maybe like the second week of July and then on. Okay, that's kind of the expectation there. Where are you going to go when it's time to go higher? That's a good question. I don't have the low in yet, so I can't measure it. It's just a guess at this point, but I would think, KTA at 81 cents here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, man, if this thing ran up to $10, several dollars, like genuinely $5 or more. I don't have the proper tools or instruments or knowledge of the fundamentals. I know the fundamentals a good bit, but not enough. I'm not the type of person to make that gauge, right? I use, for my new all-time high predictions, I use the fibs, but we can't use the fibs. We can't use them. Come on now. Until we have the low. All I can tell you is it wouldn't surprise me if you did a 10x from here, or at the very least a 5x from here, right? 10x from here would be $8, 5x from here would be $4. And then from the low, that's only amplified in growth, right? So it really, really wouldn't surprise me if we were at several dollars, maybe as high as $10, but that's a big range, $5 to $10. I don't know, somewhere in that range, but we'll know better. We'll have it more refined once we get a high to a low, once our low is actually in there. Let's assume, okay, let's just assume, and this is not how you should do fibs. This is why I haven't done it. Some people might be wondering, why don't you just draw where you assume the low is going to go? Because this is a horrible way. You'll set yourself up for failure, man. Don't ever do this. Wait for the low to be verified before you do this. But high to low here. Let's even take it a step further. Let's really assume. Let's assume that this resistance is right at the golden ratio. Okay, and we pull down, we're right at 53 cents. That's where the low is going to be. Maybe it works. Support here, resistance here. That could be an area you find resistance at. It's at the golden ratio. Maybe it works. Okay, don't do this. This is not how you do it. But if we're doing this, I would think you go above your 1886. So yeah, 464 to $10, 2618. That sounds about right. I think you would stop here, 1886 to 2618. So I was basically right with my assumption, $5 to $10 essentially. Yeah, I got nothing else. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. If you're looking at KTA now and thinking I should sell, he thinks it's going to go lower, I should sell. That's a horrible idea. That's a horrible idea. Because what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? I doubt that I'm wrong, but what if I'm wrong? You kind of have a double bottom look on your 4-hour time frame right now. What if I'm wrong? I do expect you to go lower. But the time to sell, if anything, would have been here on this high or here back at these highs, right? If you didn't take it upon yourself, now you're in it. Just wait. Just wait. Be patient. Let it ride. It's a good practice to sit through the pain, man. It really is. Because if you sell here and it works out, cool, great. That's going to gear you up to sell on the next one because you think you know what you're doing, and then you'll screw it up, right? You're going to screw it up. Just get in the practice of not screwing it up, just letting it play out, because that's oftentimes better, right? That's oftentimes better. Anyways, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.